today's a little special. Why? Because we're talking about venture capital as a whole. What has changed in 2020? We are hit a new reality when it comes to making investments and being investors in general. So, what has changed? What hasn't? Where are things going? Where are things not going? What does the venture capital or investing scene as a whole look like in today and going ahead for the decade in front of us? Things have changed. There's no question about that. But what does that mean for you as investors and you for as entrepreneurs? As entrepreneurs, how should you be looking at approaching and pitching investors today? Does it matter where they're based? Does it matter the type of vehicle that you're raising from? Good questions to ask. And as investors, has your thesis changed? Should your thesis change? And should you be looking at different opportunities or different investment vehicles as well? Well, good news, we've brought some of the best and brightest from around the world to talk just about these types of subjects as we look to round out and close 2020, a crazy redefining year for the investment and venture capital industries as a whole. And we look to 21 and we look at 2022 and what will change and what will maybe go back to what once was, if at all. So we're going to be talking all about that today and a lot more as well. We've got now new investment vehicles, which were once convertibles and safe to now cafes, which we talked a little bit about. We're seeing rolling funds. We're seeing the emergence of new investments and new investment vehicles all around the world with rising categories and industries, along with new emerging countries and areas as well. So here on VCTV, we talk about the latest in technology, industries, and regions around the world, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Thank you to our audience for tuning in today. If you like what you hear, click subscribe, give us a thumbs up. And if you're an investor that would like to talk about today's subject or others around technology, industries, and regions around the world, do reach out to the LA Token team and or myself, and we'd love to find the right spot for you as we cover a number of these areas to make sure you're all up to date with the latest and greatest from around the world. Entrepreneurs, I just told you what today's subject was. We're also here 2 days out before Q4, that sprint to the end of the year, the time we all know you're fundraising, launching new products and launching new services. And guess what? Here at VCTV, we have a virtual stage just for you. A chance for you to get up and pitch us as investors to get not only feedback, but also to start building relationships with us as investors who could be interested in not only investing in your company, but also helping you flourish as well and pitch our live audience. You never know who's sitting in the audience who could help and be interested in your company as well. So do reach out and we'd love to help you as well. And a big thank you to the LA Token team and Emmanuel for making VCTV possible every single day. With that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Let's go ahead and dive in and start talking about where is investing in this new reality, in this new world, in the next decade ahead. Where are we? And before we get into our questions, let's introduce each and every one of our guests. Marco, welcome to the show. First time with Emmanuel and I here on VCTV. A little intro and a little background for the audience.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kyle, for having me. It's a pleasure to share the stage with all these guys, very experienced in the VC world. I'm general partner of Redwood Ventures, a VC firm out of Mexico. In fact, out of Guadalajara. It's our second largest city in Mexico. We've been investing our first vehicle over the last 3 years. We have 12 investments made, average tickets of $250,000 roughly, or mainly focus on seed stage on these companies with follow-ons in the range of the $600,000. We're in the process of fundraising our second vehicle just as we speak, even though a lot of people was telling us this is not the time to raise a second fund, and we believe this is actually the time to be raising a second vehicle to take advantage of all the opportunities and continue supporting the talent out there. So thank you very much for the invite.
Absolutely, and congratulations on opening up that new fund and also on the success of your first fund. We've had a few different guests from Latin America here on VCTV recently and have talked a lot about what's happening throughout LATAM and specifically Mexico. There's a huge amount of opportunity within the region as we've spoken about, and we're going to speak more about that today with Marco. So do stay tuned as well. And again, welcome, Marco.
Thank you.
Gary Fowler, my man of artificial intelligence, everything AI and data. Welcome back to the show, my friend. I gotta get, I just gotta get more and more creative with these introductions. They're
I
just
mean,
fun.
I feel like Forrest Gump. The life is not a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get from
You never know.
But I
You never
like.
know.
Anyhow, my name's Gary Fowler, and I'm a serial entrepreneur, and now 16 companies that I've co-founded or started. And I love AI because AI, as I said many, many times, is the new electricity. I've been involved in 2 unicorns, Click Software. I was on the original management team. Company came over from Haifa, Israel, was sold to Salesforce for a little over $1 billion. And then EVA, which is the company I started almost 4 years ago now, closing in on unicorn status. It does remote workforce management. And we started it a couple of years ago before it was in vogue. I started the first accelerator in Russia, and then the #1 private corporate accelerator. I was also involved as a co-founder of that group. I invest. So privately I invest, and we're also building a $100 million impact fund out of Atlanta, Georgia. So I am the CEO and co-founder of GSD, Get Shit Done Venture Studios. Thank you, Kyle.
It's a great name. So in Atlanta, the impact fund that you're putting together, can you share a little bit more about it? I know you've teased it out here a little bit on the show.
Sure.
Are you guys making investments now, and what kind of range are you looking at?
Yeah. So the whole idea is, I've been working on 12 years is to serve the underserved. So, specifically in the Black community, I don't see a lot of Black executives in technology. And a friend of mine who's an actor, Medina, works for Tyler Perry. And I've been working on this issue for some time, and I think the time's right. So essentially, the fund is put together to seed Atlanta with incredible AI companies, bring talent in, primarily Black, underserved talent in, and build them in a fellowship program, teach them how you run the company, how to get involved about AI and technology, and basically create the next generation. I did it successfully in Russia. I mean, at the time, I was the first accelerator. People said it couldn't be done. Oh, you're American, they're Russians, they're never going to go to Silicon Valley. Well, now look at how many Russian founders or Ukrainian or Belarusian have deep technical skill sets. So that's the same thing, and we're making progress. It's never easy, but if it was easy, everybody would do it.
It's true. I mean, to Marco's point, everyone told him it wasn't the right time to raise a fund too. And he said, no, it is the right time, because he's right as well. It is the right time to be raising a fund. And I'll shamelessly promote you there, Marco, because I agree with both you and Gary. Next up, Mark, the man with a piece of paper who should be holding it up right now with the greatest piece of information that everyone needs to walk away with here today. My friend in the blockchain and fintech space up in the upper Northwest. Mark, welcome back to the show.
Always good to be here, Kyle. Here, so you really can't keep secrets, right? Anyway,
I can't. I can't.
Mark Muley-Eberstein, in the tech industry for about 30 years, former recovering Microsoft, founded a consulting business called EdgeTech Corporation 10 years ago. We are helping business leaders to understand what the technology trends do. And that runs so well that I spend with such a great team that I spend most of my free time helping other entrepreneurs. So I'm an active angel investor for about a decade now, member of the Alliance of Angels, of the Swan Fund, of the ACA here in the United States. I'm on the advisory board and board of a bunch of different companies, helping them, other leaders, to connect with each other, to learn from each other, to build successful businesses. And I'm just excited to see, creative people coming together and figuring out how to solve the challenges that our world is throwing at us. I think you were teasing a little bit and said, one of those challenges is the whole COVID crisis. Getting access to reliable personal protection equipment was a huge challenge, and quality control. There was so much scams going on, and we were fortunate to figuring out how to optimize the supply chain, making sure you have quality labs in the challenge. So there were a couple of entrepreneurs that are, I would say, took 25 years of preparation, and I think that's a piece of paper. It's the Costco Connection. That's the monthly magazine we were just talking about. And within 6 months, they provided a complete portfolio on, here we go, personal protection equipment. Company is called Filter, and they're now available to basically everybody, including our first responders, including our healthcare systems, to have access here in the United States and in going forward in other locations where Costco, Target, and so on are providing this in a trusted way. So it really makes a difference for people trying to stay healthy and trying to protect themselves and their communities.
Absolutely an amazing job, and congratulations to you and your team for putting that together. I'm so glad that you're able to share that with us today.
I just contributed a tiny little bit, but I'm very proud. It's one of those examples where entrepreneurs can make a real difference in our world.
Well, and especially now, right? We talked about this. I mean, you were one of my first guests, along with Gary and others here on VCTV when we got started earlier this year. And I mean, this was a tough year for many to even think about starting a company. And here's a great example, all of you thus far, and I know everyone else is going to finish this out, where you can put, the energy and effort into starting something, right, for the good and for the opportunity that exists in the year. And you and your team did a great job and are showing as a good example as that as well. So thank you very much, Mark. And again, congratulations to you and your team. Lewis, best dressed man in the house today, ladies and gentlemen.
Just for you, gotta look good for you, Kyle, because Gary said, you know what, if you don't suit up, you got to get out. So I had to suit up for the show, for VCTV itself. But then this is pretty much my everyday. We're in a different, look, the pandemic left an indelible mark on everyone. We had to pivot from doing things one way, learning to do it another way, learning how to be out of the office, and learning how to connect outside of what we're used to. The human contact part of it has been shifted, so we have to utilize other things, other technologies to stay in touch, keep growing, raising capital, so on and so forth. Just to give the little skinny on me, I'm a managing partner with FGA Partners. We're involved in AI, VR, AR, blockchain, and just technology in general. And we're trying to solve problems where we see and come up with solutions for these problems in different areas. So we're happy about that. And Mark, congratulations on that. And Gary, change that background. Come on, put the big picture yourself. All right. Anyway, let me pass it over to you, Kyle.
Thank you. There we go. We've been having a little bit of fun here on VCTV with Zoom backgrounds lately, because why not, right? It's you got to have a little fun now and then, but nonetheless, we are very appreciative of each and every one of you and your insights that you continue to share. And thank you all for your time. And last but not least, Eduardo, welcome back to the show. I can't wait to hear more about some of the things you're working on. But before we get into that, little intro and a little background.
Hi, Kylie, and hi to all the audience. Hi, all you guys. Actually, I gotta say, Kyle, that this is probably one of the most exciting shows that I've been lately, actually, because I'm more than keen to get insights from Marco about the situation in Mexico and Latam, actually, which is a region and a country that I particularly love, actually. I know it very well. I've been traveling there for many years, actually. And I gotta say, Gary is not only an expert on AI, I mean, he is an AI on himself, actually. I mean, he ruled out all of us. Come on, Gary, say the truth, okay? You are HAL version 2.0. Yeah, I know. So yeah, a little bit of myself. Actually, I'm a director at a large U.S. family office, the Soriano Group and Family Office. We are pretty much invested in AI, virtual reality, Internet of Things, basically a number of ventures. We know very well that this situation has been, dramatic for many companies, many businesses, and particularly for funds trying to raise, actually. I mean, for example, ourselves, this caught us in the middle of an ICO and an STO. So basically, both has been postponed. But actually, right now, we are looking again and investing in very interesting businesses, actually. And we definitely believe that there has been a tremendous shift in the consumer behavior that will pretty much, have a tremendous impact on how investors look at investments and how, founders develop their own businesses. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a great actually time up ahead. So yeah, I mean, very, very excited to see what's gonna happen on the next, I would say, 6 months to 1 year, particularly in some sectors, tech-related sectors, in which, as Luis perfectly mentioned, the human interaction has been, basically shift to a proper, a online communication. So new ways of doing businesses, but the world will not stop. That's the main lesson that we gotta learn. I mean, we have to adapt to a new reality, and this is why we are here. I mean, the title of the show is perfect.
It is, and you're calling it out right. I mean, it is a new reality, right? It's we are going into a decade, a new decade at that, and are looking at the convergence and an accelerated convergence at that of technology and industries in a way that we could probably not have imagined, right? We've always hoped that some of these technologies and industries would come together at some point in some time, and instead we've seen the rapid execution of this. And here we are as investors now looking at this. Where should we be placing the bets? What's a good industry to be focusing on? What technologies are ready? What is still being baked? And where are the areas of opportunities as well? So with that, just jumping right in, would love to hear each of your thoughts and insights on the current state of investments and venture capital in this new reality. And by new reality, I mean going into 2021. We know what's happened and what's kind of been trying to figure it out in 2020. But as we come to this Q4 of 2020, and as we look ahead, what does venture capital and investment look like currently for the next year ahead? Marco, let's start with you. Oh, you're on mute. There you go.
Thank you very much, Kyle. Well, I believe in Mexico, it's probably going to be a bit different than what other regions have experienced, being probably not as mature industry. The venture capital industry in Mexico, it's not that mature as compared to Silicon Valley or other latitudes. I believe LPs in particular have been a little bit nervous about what's going on. They wanted, we have not necessarily experienced a lot of exits yet. We don't have a unicorn yet in the country. So that caused a little bit of nervousness. I believe that through communication and transparency, and obviously trying to show them through the history of humankind, we've passed through a lot of these cycles, and innovation, technology, and breakthroughs has been what has led to the recovery of economy. And venture capital is going to be key on making that happen. So I can tell you that checks to the companies have been probably a bit slower on coming through. But at the end of the day, we continue seeing a lot of activity, a lot of entrepreneurs trying to build the next new thing in technology. And there's going to be a ton of opportunities. I believe LATAM as a block, not just Mexico. Mexico is obviously one of the key countries in LATAM, but LATAM as a block is the third economy in the world, and with a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs to provide services and products that are probably already existing in other latitudes, but not in LATAM. So I believe it's still going to be a great opportunity. We see large funds. Our fund is a relatively small fund compared to the SoftBanks, the Casex, and all these other guys that are coming into Mexico looking for this opportunity. So we continue seeing the appetite there to come in and invest. And I do believe that's going to continue into next year. That's why we decided to launch our second vehicle this year, because we are already coming to the end of our initial investments on Fund 1, and we didn't want to miss on the opportunity to capture these companies, right? And invest in companies that are going to be hugely successful because they are adapting quickly to the new reality and their business models focus on what we're going to experience going forward.
Which makes perfect sense. I mean, we look at the investment cycles for venture capital in general, right? And during years very similar to 2020, it's generally comes out of a very good vintage year of great opportunity and great companies that get created during this time. And so I think you're making the right decision, just in my personal opinion, but also it totally makes sense. And Latin America, as we mentioned, does have a lot of opportunities. And we're also seeing a rising middle class, a huge push towards connectivity in the region as well on an individual case as well. So there's just so much to be taught on there. So great opportunities and observations. And we'll come back to get your opinion a little further on that in just a moment. Gary, to you, current state, you've started to fund, you are making investments, you're building companies. What are you seeing as the kind of the new reality that we're moving into here in 2021?
Well, I mean, so I can tell you from the time this started till today that the attitude, people have adjusted to the digital, this new environment, this new reality, and this digital transformation. They've adjusted. So now, I mean, I was just on the phone with SoftBank, I don't know, yesterday or the day before. I mean, it's changed. So they're look at the amount of deals done, right? As of second quarter, there were $62.9 billion worth of deals done across about 4,500 deals. That's not bad. It's roughly equivalent to what it was before. So in terms of deals being done, but here's the other situation. You have to deploy. You are required to deploy funds. You've got a 2 to 3 year window to be able to deploy those funds. And, look at what's changing. So the digital transformation opened up opportunities across the board. Do you want to be left out on these interesting, exciting AI opportunities? I think not. I mean, it is a great time to do it. So we've had to adjust. I mean, the good thing about humanity is we're really good at adjusting to situations. And now I believe, people are, I remember before, as I've said a couple of times, going to Hobbes on El Camino Real in Palo Alto and going for breakfast or lunch with VCs. Well, those same VCs now it's much more efficient because you can get to them. There was a window where they wouldn't take, they were so busy before they wouldn't talk. But now if you go to LinkedIn and you start connecting the dots, I mean, they're open because they're home, they're kind of bored, they want some communication, they want to know what's going on with the world. And so it's really changed. I honestly, from my perspective, it's actually made things better in a lot of ways because it's forced us to be more efficient. It's forced us to be more effective, right? And it's forced us to invest in technologies that would have taken 10 years to come forward, or 5 years, as McKinsey said, now. So I love it. So from our standpoint, from my standpoint, in terms of investment, we're investing in terms of building AI companies around the world. The thing that's different, Kyle, is before we focused on one region, and now we're looking things global. Because that article I wrote about the democratization of opportunity, it's really here, right? It doesn't matter if you're in Nigeria, doesn't matter if you're in Abu Dhabi, it doesn't matter if you're in Madrid. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're in Palm Beach or Palo Alto, things are different. Or Seattle, it's just different now. Now there's really an opportunity for everybody to get involved. And so it's not going to be forever because people have not understood how good the opportunity is. It'll be another 6 months or so. But during that period of time, it's a great time to reap the benefits.
And you're calling it out spot on. We talked about this in pre-show as well. Like your thesis, once local, now should be global, right? We talk about this with entrepreneurs. I have this conversation on a regular basis is, be global, think vertical, act local. So be global from day one. You have your customers on a global level. Your investors now are on a global level. Think vertical. Well, guess what? You should be looking at investors and very focused on your industry to make sure that they can add value and that you can succeed and dominate in that industry before moving into others. Act locally, slightly different now than before. Before locally was helping that local community, giving back, being present in the local region that you were. Well, now local can mean so many different things. If you have investors that are globally, you have a team that's very distributed. Now you have all different types of ways to be present on a local level and help those maybe in a online community or in other ways as well. So Gary, you're spot on to that. And I greatly appreciate that. Marco, I see you taking notes, so I know you're agreeing with us as well. Mark,
Absolutely.
to you. Mark, to you, current state, what are you seeing doing all these different things from the founder to the investor? You're playing both sides of the table, to quote, Mark Schuster there. What are you seeing? How are things changing for you in this new reality?
I think, Gary, I made a couple of good points. I think it's definitely a lot of change is actually for the better. That's the strange thing that really happened, I think, over the last 6 months. And I have to say, I wasn't expecting some of the things we have seen over the last 6 to 8 months. Partly the amount of money that is available and on the sidelines has been staggering. We saw in the very beginning of the crisis, everybody freezing up, valuations of companies going down, and that's completely evaporated. So there's so much capital on the sidelines at this point that is looking for opportunities. We have seen that the companies we've already invested in, the smart leaders made their decisions and hard decisions very early. So they cut expenses when necessary, went down to the basics, streamlined the operations, and were setting themselves up for hard times and prepared themselves, therefore, to making it out of it quite well. I think what we will see is going to be actually quite interesting. I think we have a lot of stimulus payments here in the US, but also in Europe and other areas. So a lot of companies that might not should have survived, the zombie companies, are around, and they will likely be around well into 21 at this point in this funding levels. So what does this mean? This means, well, they have good teams. They might have some good technology, but as companies, they're not really functioning that well. So those will be prime takeover candidates and acquisition opportunities in the 21 timeframe. So I think we will see much more of that happening, where the entrepreneurs that are building strong businesses now come out in 21 in a very good position, and then backed up with a lot of cash to go shopping. I think we will see a lot of acquisitions in that that are happening. Kyle, Marco, Gary, you also mentioned the access to global information and global investor networks. Absolutely, for sure. I mean, we're getting pitched all the time from all over the world. On one end, that's great, and we have investments from anywhere, of course, in the US to Europe, Singapore, Armenia, Indonesia. So wherever the right teams with the right ideas, we're happy to support them. On the other hand, the cold call works even less. So if you can't get attraction within 15 seconds, don't bother bombarding anybody's inbox, because it's just too much. So where does it come down to? What are the opportunities? Relationships, trusted relationships of people that we have built successful long-term relationships over the last decades or years at least. Those are the ones that are mattering even more today, because that's where the introductions are coming, that getting more than 15 seconds of airtime, where you actually listen to figuring out what's really going on, because somebody there vouched for the people. And at the end of the day, investment is a team sport, both on the investor side, but of course also on the more on the entrepreneur side. It's important that you have the right teams on the other side of honest and reliable individuals. Otherwise, there's no point of trying to build a new long-term relationship with them.
Well, and to your point, relationships still matter, right? We've talked about this. You can't just reach out cold and ask for a check. That's not the way to do business. That's also not the relationship you want to have for your company or with your investor. Instead, you need to reach out and build those relationships. Whenever it comes to raising capital, building a company, selling a product or service, it takes time. When those things happen instantly, those are very serendipitous and very magical moments. And usually they cost a little bit more than you may entail. So to Mark's point, it's still a relationship game. Make sure that you're taking the time. Even to Gary's point, reaching out cold is great all day, every day. We love it, but take the time to build the relationship and not just the direct ask. That's what's very, very crucial. And to Mark's point, build that relationship, get to know and see if the dynamic works. See if there is an opportunity to be a team, because that's what you are at the end of the day, and not just a one-off transaction. So to Mark's point, spot on, great point, Mark. Thank you. And Louis, to you, current state, what are you seeing in this new reality?
I'm going to echo what Mark and Gary were highlighting. I think in this environment right now, it became better. Gary made it, made that clear. Became better because it's easier, like say for me, to communicate with someone. Someone reaches out, they wanna talk about something. They can easily reach me. Where maybe a year ago be a little difficult and it'd be expensive, because now you're talking about meetings, you're talking about sitting down, flying here, doing this. This is cost effective, it's efficient. We get down to the point where if there's something to get done, it gets done. Worst case, you build a relationship, you build a rapport, you build something that may last for a long time. When you're building relationships, they could be sustainable. And as opposed to someone saying, hey, this is what I do, I need $20 million and I need it now, and this is what I have, let's do a deal. That right there turns me off. It's like a bad date. You want to walk away, you want to go home at that point. So if for those entrepreneurs that are looking for that investment, build the relationships, go and take the time, take the energy, take the time, build a relationship, build a rapport, open up the lines of communication. You may not get anything then, but you know what? You may see something at the end of the road in 3 months, 6, whatever it is, but at least you have another connection that you have in your holster for a later date. And if you build a strong enough relationship, that's when the magic happens. And this is a reality. And as far as raising capital, Marco was talking about it. Now it's the time to do it. People are they are responsive to it. They're there. You have, whether it's fund of funds, whatever the case may be, it's there. So you just have to go and put yourself out there and let them know you exist. You do that, it becomes something a little different. And you're talking about a global reach. You're not just reaching, to someone that you can go meet in the next hour. You're reaching someone that you may never see you may not see face to face for some time, but they're open to the communication. And I think that's key. And I wanted to, talk about, the funds and actually investors out there. You have a lot of dry powder out there that can that's ready to go to work for the right situation. So you have to make sure you're bringing those right situations to the table. Don't be a copycat when you're producing something. Be original. See the problem, come up with a solution. Don't see a problem, say, hey, I'm going to be the next Facebook, the next Salesforce. Do something that is solving a problem. Do something a little bit different. Okay. And again, the areas that I think are going to be very important. AI, of course, Gary and I agree with that. Fintech, health tech, these areas are going to start blowing up. And I need to say this, Gary, hats off to you for what you're doing. I believe that there should be more, there should be an ethnic blend at the top in technology. More women should be there because they'll probably make better decisions than me and you, but we need more diversity at the top because, especially in America and the world for that matter, it's one melting pot of everything, right? It's not just one thing, it's a melting pot of everything. But just wanted to get all that in before Gary shuts me up. But I'm going to pass the ball over to you, Kyle.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Eduardo, to you, what are you seeing change? I mean, you're on the family office side, you do some direct investments, you're in many different industries. What are you seeing in this new reality? How are things different for you looking at 2021 and where you're making investments, maybe how you're making investments based off this past year?
Well, actually, you're probably aware that, family offices tend to be very conservative when it comes to investments, actually. I mean, we are the kind of investment that let's say we can consider ourselves as activists, okay? We put smart money into war, actually, and we would love to hear from, those management teams, CEOs and founders that want to work together with us, actually. I mean, we usually take control of the companies in which we invest. We help them developing business. In some cases, we actually do venture building by ourselves, which means that relationships, something that has been discussed over the last minutes, become more critical than ever, actually. I mean, and this is a long-term aspect that has to be always considered when it comes to secure funds, or even when making an investment, actually. New areas such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things, virtual reality, fintech, of course, as Louis mentioned, actually, blockchain related technologies will be booming over the next years, actually. And we're looking at LATAM also. I think that fintech is going to be probably one of the most significant technologies, particularly in a region where still, let's say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Marco, still mostly of the population use cash in comparison and in contrast with some other European countries, or even in the US, or even in Asia. So, I mean, the opportunity is there. And actually, I think that we will be looking to a significant increase in the funds invested in those particular businesses. Also in Europe, when you look at the main, private equity firms, big giants from the US and from the UK, they have a tremendous amount of funds raised and ready to be invested in exciting projects with long-term potential. So actually, there's a lot of competition when it comes to evaluate projects and secure, the correct investments for the upcoming years in this new reality. And I would like to, point out something that Louis mentioned that we will be also looking at, and it's the continuous increase in the number of women in this particular world actually we live in. I mean, among management boards, among entrepreneurships. Actually, I gotta say, and this is a teaser of something that we are working on, we are actively promoting a worldwide platform to promote women entrepreneurs, which is going to be called Together is Better. Actually, we are trying to create a new movement in order to encourage the participation of women in large technology, in large companies related mostly to tech. Actually, there has been a number of initiatives such as, for example, Women in Tech and Women for Tech, which I recommend all the audience to take a look at both. We will be talking more about those initiatives in upcoming shows for sure, Kelly. So, but definitely, guys, we will be promoting integrity, women integrity, diversity, and that kind of aspects, actually. And I'm very proud of it. And we at Soriano Group also, and with all the family office from around the world, we are very, very proud of being part of this initiative, this global initiative that in which we will try to help women entrepreneurs. So, I mean, feel free
Eduardo,
to reach out, by the way.
Eduardo, I apologize, my friend. I apologize. We are at the top of the hour, so I have to cut you off. Even though this is a great initiative, I want you to share more with me so I can promote it to our audience as well, because it is a great initiative that you guys have put together. So thank you so much for doing so. Mark, you've got a quick comment. Tolga, I'm coming to you for your quick insights. And then everyone, we are hitting the lightning round for the top of the hour as we may run over a minute. So Mark, quick thoughts.
No, absolutely. What Eduardo has said, investing in female founders makes perfect business sense. The American Capital Association looked at successful entrepreneurs. So if you have a chance, women-led companies, much higher success chances. We are invested, for example, one of the funds we invest in is Portfolio that are focusing primarily on women funds only, and the numbers speak for itself.
Also a great group to follow. Their newsletter is phenomenal if you don't already get it. So I do recommend it. Shameless promotion for portfolio as well. Thank you, Mark. Again, thank you, Eduardo. Tolga, I want to come to you. You sit on both sides of the table, a little bit of the investment in the past, but now as a founder as well. How are you seeing quickly things changing in this new reality for you as you're either fundraising or looking at making investments?
I also follow the capital markets really closely, so I can definitely tell that the money is shifting big time from different industries to newer industries. The energy industry is shifting big time from oil to renewables and electric cars and related technologies. There's a big movement into fintech, the payment solutions. PayPal is becoming more and more valuable, and direct payment solutions, the mobile wallets are massively valuable right now. The AI technology is unstoppably growing, and it's also kind of like always forming a huge appetite for investors, because AI is constantly growing in a way that is constantly innovating itself. And I also agree with the female founders. I was actually just reading this in Financial Times. It was in front of me. Female managed U.S. funds outperform all male rivals. That's the title on Financial Times on September 6, 2020. So I totally agree on the change in the industries, in the capital markets is it's very easily felt, and I think the change is not going to stop here. It's as the pandemic really settled a different kind of lifestyle, I think it is going to stay. The work from home is going to stay, and remote work is going to be a new thing. People are not going to go back to office, I think, 5 days a week anymore. That's for sure. So many things are changing, and I think, this is a really interesting time to be experiencing.
Absolutely. And where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation? We'll be coming around to everybody here for just a moment as we hit the top of the hour. So Tolga, where can everyone find you?
Thank you. It's my name, tolgaunuk.com. Please check my website. I've been involved in multiple different companies, startups. I'm a founder, entrepreneur, designer, athlete. And LinkedIn too. Please connect me on LinkedIn as well.
The whole picture, a little bit of everything. Thank you very much, Tolga. Eduardo, where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation and learn more about these organizations that you are going to be sharing more with us a little bit later? But super quick, where can they find you?
Sure, Kylie. You can find me on LinkedIn, so feel free to reach out. If you have interesting projects, we'll be more than keen to take a look at those and to help you out in some ways. And again, Kylie, and to all the LATOKEN team, actually, it has been a tremendous session. Congratulations, and I hope to see you soon in the next one.
Thank you very much. You as well, Eduardo. Lewis, where can everyone find you online? Continue.
Oh, I'm going to be quick. You can go to FJA Partners. You can find out more about our firm and myself, and you can find me on LinkedIn. I welcome anyone on the panel to reach out to me, because we may not do business, but making connections is important, and I think that we need to do that. Back to you, Kyle.
Awesome. Gary, where can everyone find you to continue the conversation, learn a little bit more about your fund?
Yeah, you can check Gary Fowler. LinkedIn is the best place, and you can just Google my name. I got some shows and that kind of thing. So happy to talk to people. Thanks, Kyle.
He's got an awesome show. He's being modest about it. He's got an amazing show. He just had Guy Kawasaki on a few days ago. It's definitely worth checking out. Just Google Gary and you'll find it, along with GSD Ventures as well. Mark, where's your piece of paper? Where's your other piece of paper?
Sure, coming right away. So yes.
Where can everyone find you?
Best way for the public to find me is on Twitter. Here we go. Mark M. Eberstein at Twitter. So follow me, send me direct messages. I'll open, reach out with something personalized, not with spam, and I'm happy to start a conversation there and then see where it goes.
Absolutely. And do definitely reach out to Mark and all of our other guests so far. And before we get to Marco, everyone is available 24/7, 365, just about, as we live our lives more digital than ever today. And we'd be happy to continue the conversation. As Mark said, make sure you add context when you do reach out. Don't just reach out to reach out. Instead, let us know where you saw each and every one of us and add context as to what the conversation may be relevant, whether that's about VCTV, about an industry, about a region, as we talked about, or an industry as well, because then it helps frame that initial relationship and that ongoing conversation we'll be having together. Marco, close us out. Where can everyone find you online, and where can everyone find the fund as you look to put the second fund together?
Yeah, kind of following the idea from Mark, you can find us here is our website, redwood.ventures, and myself on Twitter, also the fund in Twitter, and I'm on LinkedIn. Happy to connect with everybody. Marco Villasenor, and it was great chatting with all of you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so very much. I apologize we had such a short time frame today, as there's so much great information. But everyone, again, thank you for your thoughts and insights. To your audience, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, give us a thumbs up. And again, do reach out not only to our panelists, but also to the LA Token team. Thank you, Gary. If you'd like to be on a show like today, thank you, Louis. Whoa, thank you, Marco. Thank you, Mark. That was a lot of all at once. If you'd like to be on a show like today, do reach out to the LA Token team and or myself, and we'd like to find the right opportunity for you, whether you be an investor sharing your thoughts and insights, or as an entrepreneur wanting to get up on the virtual stage and pitch us as well live to the audience. Thank you, Eduardo, and thank you, Tolga. And with that, again, you can find us all online. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. We'll be back here tomorrow with more VCTV, and a big thank you to the LA Token team and Emmanuel for making today possible. We'll see you back here tomorrow.